The magnificent Tower of London is a famous monument with much dark history in its past. Many people are familiar with the fascinating mystery of the princes in the tower. Less well known is the equally fascinating story of the last man to be executed there, German World War II spy Josef Jakobs. The Luxembourg-born Jakobs was a German citizen who had served in World War I for the Wehrmacht on both the Eastern and Western fronts. Wounded in 1918, he was sent back to his adopted home city of Berlin to recover. At the end of hostilities, Jakobs returned to civilian life to study dentistry, eventually graduating and establishing a dental practice. Marrying in 1926, by 1932, he and his wife had 3 children. The Wall Street crash and the depression that followed put paid to Jakob's dentistry business. He and a friend decided to head to Switzerland on a scheme to produce and sell counterfeit gold. The 2 men were caught and sentenced in 1934 to 2.5 years in prison. Released in 1937, he returned to Berlin and worked as a traveling salesman of books and typewriters, but soon drifted back into crime, selling black market passports to Jews desperate to escape Germany. Although that certainly wasn't a moral crime, despite being nominally illegal. However, he was rumbled by the authorities again and sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. As a common criminal, he was not marked for death there, and was released in April of 1940. By June of that year, he was back in the Wehrmacht, although it is not entirely clear whether he was recalled, or whether rejoining was his idea. When it was discovered that he had served time in Switzerland on the counterfeit gold charge, his commission was withdrawn. He bounced around low-level army assignments, before in September 1940, being sent to Hamburg for training in espionage under spy master Nikolaus Ritter. Spy agencies have always been interested in criminals who display an element of cunning, and Jakobs was considered good material for the Abwehr. Whilst in Hamburg, he fell for a singer in the Bernhard Elite Orchestra, Clara Barley, living a double life and returning to Berlin on weekends to see his family. Pegged for a spy trip to England, Jakobs confided to a friend that he planned to desert the mission once there, then head to the United States, where he had an aunt. His friend betrayed him to the Gestapo. However, in the odd way that spy agencies seem to work, his duplicity was overlooked, and he was sent to The Hague in early January 1941 to study wireless transmitting and receiving. The mission to England was back on, and on the 31st of January, Jakobs was in a German bomber headed across the Channel. At around 8:30 p.m. that night, he parachuted out of the bomber, despite having never practiced parachute jumps, and promptly broke his ankle when he landed on a potato farm in Cambridgeshire. After spending a bad night under his parachute, smoking cigarettes and drifting in and out of consciousness, he was discovered by 2 farmers, Charles Baldock and Harry Colson, when Jakobs fired his pistol in the air. The farmers notified the Home Guard, who captured him swiftly. Jakobs was found to be carrying £500, forged identity papers, a radio transmitter, and a variety of practical items such as maps. Transferred from the local police station to Cannon Row Police Station in London, Jakobs talked extensively, in a voluntary statement to Major T.A. Robertson of MI5. Asked about a picture of his paramour, Barley, that he had on his person, Jakobs explained that she was a spy herself. She was originally intended to join him in England, since she'd worked there years earlier, and curiously, spoke English with a perfect Brummie accent. His failure had put paid to that plan. In later years, Barley could not be traced, prompting several theories about her disappearance. Eventually, evidence came to light that she had died in a Berlin hospital in December 1942. As a member of the German army, it was decided that Jakobs would be tried by a military tribunal, which took place at the Duke of York's headquarters in Chelsea on the 4th and 5th of August. The proceedings were held in camera, as it later emerged that the British knew Jakobs was coming, courtesy of a double agent inside the Abwehr, Welsh nationalist Arthur Owens. Conviction and a death sentence was a formality. Transported from Wandsworth Prison, Josef Jakobs was executed at the rifle range in the Tower of London on the 15th of August, by firing squad rather than hanging, since he was an enemy combatant. His last words were reportedly, "Shoot straight, Tommies." One bullet struck him in the heart, killing him instantly, whilst the other 4 hit him in the same area of his body. 3 of the 8-man firing squad were issued blanks, as is the custom with firing squads, so that no one would know who fired the fatal shot. Jakobs was buried in an unmarked grave in St. Mary's Cemetery, London, bringing to an end one of the many extraordinary stories of espionage that were such a fascinating feature of World War II.